And man, I have a friend who was diagnosed with something and was prescribed Humira, but couldn't afford it. It was $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's a pill, right? Is Humira a pill? Do you know?
It's an injection, I believe.
It is an injection?
Yeah. I've never actually used it, so I can tell you more about the biochemistry of it than I can about the actual administration.
I mean, they must be making bank on that. I mean, come on. An injection that costs $5,000 a month. You cannot tell me the cost of goods sold on that are anywhere close to. Well, I mean,
part of the villain in this that we're kind of railing on Big Pharma, and no doubt they need it, right? But the other villain in this is, and I know this is going to probably set poorly with some folks, but there's two other culprits here. The first is an insurance company. So an insurance company is designed to make, I tell people, I'm like, your insurance company makes money off of you when you're well. They make way more money off of you when you're sick, right? So basically they're a broker for services. So who is actually making a lot of that $5,000 is the insurance company, because they broker deals with these pharmaceutical manufacturers that when their patients have this diagnosis, this ICD-10 code, we're going to mandate that our prescribers prescribe this medicine, right? In other words, as Blue Cross, if you have psoriasis, then I'm going to work a deal with Pfizer to say, okay, our first line agent's going to be Humira, right? So patients got to pay so much. We're going to get this much money. They're going to have to pay their copays. And so there's all this money shuffling around that goes on. Now, the second party, and this is where people are going to get upset, is us as the consumer, because we put up with this crap, right? So one of the things that we teach our clients is that you need to use your health insurance like you use your car insurance. Your car insurance doesn't cover you getting your tires rotated and balanced or getting your windshield wipers changed. Those are maintenance things that you are responsible for. But in the event that your car is crashed and you can't drive it, then your insurance is a useful tool. Outside of that, it has very little utility for you. So your health insurance should function much the same way. You should have a cash pay relationship with a provider that you trust who offers a basic level of service, and your insurance remains your insurance, not your daily way to provide medical care.
Yes. Health insurance is really wealth insurance. Like, they're not going to cover much of anything.
Yeah, absolutely. They know the $6,000 rule. No, only like less than 5% of people spend more than $6,000 a year on their health care. So they
is that what it is?
So they set that deductible at that level because that's what
less than 5% of people spend more than $6,000 a year.
It's small, Kent. I know we got a computer genius here, so it's small.
That makes a lot of sense, and because coincidentally, the deductibles are right about
$6,000.
I think the law allows it to be somewhere around $8,000 for individual and $16,000 or something like that for the family, and it's actually a law. But I just heard this comment which made a lot of sense, which is that health insurance is really wealth insurance because it's going to do its level best to not pay for anything that it doesn't have to pay. But in the case, you have a $500,000 bill or something, then it protects the like extreme circumstances. That's right. When it kicks in and has value. Exactly to your point, there's one company that I discovered recently called Crowd Health out of Austin, Texas. Okay. And they are doing a self-pay model where I have an account, I pay membership fees, but that money stays in my account. Most of it stays in my account. And when you need help, I can elect to help you. And when I need help, the crowd can elect to help me. But it's all cash pay. So you get those discounts, significant discounts. Like
absolutely.
What they're doing right now is on bills over $1,000, any medical bill on average over $1,000, they're saving 72%. Yeah, because it's cash pay. It's not insurance. It's crowd funded, essentially.
Cash pay healthcare.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it's very interesting and fascinating because we're going to have to break away from the health insurance companies if we want this whole system to change, because it's just too tied in together. And with their 15% mandated net profit margin, that means nothing. All that means is their expenses have to go up, so their 15% profit margin, no one cares about the margin. You know what I mean? Like, you can't walk into the store. You can't buy a jet with margin. Yeah. You buy a jet with cash. So who cares ultimately what your margin is? What matters is the amount of money you're making. So if you mandate your net profits that they can only be 15%, okay, fine. Let's jack up our expenses so that our 15% translates into a lot more money.
Bigger, yeah.
And so they have a perverse incentive to have their expenses go up. I mean, the whole thing is like, sometimes it feels like we're pawns in some sort of a game in this country. Do you ever feel that way?
Oh, I think that's, not only do I feel that way, I think a lot of other people are starting to feel that way. And I think that a conscious, mindful individual has to look around and realize that that's probably, at least to some degree in various aspects of our lives, has already taken place, right? Like, I mean, there are certain things that you are, you're just totally out of your control. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I think that most people are starting to wake up to that realization.
Yeah. Did you have Colby Googling something earlier or no? Am I wrong on that?
I couldn't find anything.
Oh, what were you looking for?
It's the percent of people that hit their deductible, the 6,000.
Oh, the 6,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
no, I thought you had told him maybe he found what you.
Yeah, we were talking about the type 3 diabetes thing, and that's
okay.
That's just
so
an
he
interesting
pulled
thing
that up
there,
already.
Yeah.
Well, phew. I don't even really know where to go exactly from there, because we could dig in like a lot more on any of it.
Yeah.
But on the insurance front, though, are you seeing other? What's your thoughts on like how to proceed on that front? Are you seeing other plans that are working, or is just something we have to put up with?
I know of some innovating entrepreneurs who are going to be coming out with some products that I think are going to help some people in the marketplace, better navigate this. What we recommend for our clients right now, until we have a better solution. So we have a fairly decent network of providers that we work with that accept cash. Mm-hmm. So, most of our clients elect not to use their insurance. And so if we send them for an MRI or an X-ray, we just tell them this is a cash pay patient.
Really?
And let it go. So I can get an X-ray for, a chest X-ray for $25. I can get an MRI of the low back, the lumbar spine for, $375.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, if you pay cash, like what you were saying, right? I mean, because you're removing this insurance middleman, right? Which has brokered all these services and is still making a pretty handsome profit themselves. So when you kind of get out of that, I'll tell you a story. My daughter broke her wrist doing gymnastics. So they call me, they're like, "Dad, I think I broke my wrist." And so she comes home and I look at it and I'm like, "Yeah, it looks broken." So I had an IV bag in the house. So I took an ACE bandage and wrapped her, kind of splintered her hand. And I called a local walk-in clinic. And I said, my name is Dr. Lee Howard. I have a patient who walked in and I think they have a broken distal radius. And I think we need to get an X-ray. What do you guys charge for, a plain film of the wrist, a 2-view of the wrist, and to splint a fracture if it's broken? They said $75. So I said, okay, I'll send the client over. X-ray shows a fracture. They splint her wrist. They give me the films. $75 later, I've got my daughter's fracture stabilized, and I've got films now. So on Monday, I called Vanderbilt Orthopedics. I said, look, I want to see this particular doctor. We're cash pay clients. How do you handle situations like this? So we went in, we paid $300 cash. That it told us basically we're going to take $300. That's going to cover probably your first visit and then maybe some of your second visit. We'll kind of see how it goes. But once we decide what we need to do, then we'll figure out from there. So essentially what happened was they were going to take my daughter to the operating room and do what's called a closed reduction, right? Not make any incisions, just sort of try to set the fracture and then cast it. And so after she was seen by the surgeon, the surgery date was set, which was like the next day or the next whatever, a couple of days later. And when we showed up for anesthesia that morning, they had listed her as getting general anesthesia, which should not happen. But when you're maximizing insurance dollars, that's the kind of crap that goes down. We were just happened to be savvy enough to know, like, we're not playing that game. Mm. And so we told the anesthetist that we wanted her to be sedated, unless there was some reason by the operating surgeon that she had to be put under completely, anesthetized. So they just did IV anesthesia, like you could get a tooth pulled, right?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so a lot less cost because we're not intubating somebody, putting them on a breathing machine, going through all this rigmarole, which is not necessary. And so doc comes in, they anesthetize her. He comes in, he sets the fracture, shoots an X-ray, puts a cast on. The whole thing was over in 15 minutes. And we were, I think, I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it was like $3,500, between the bills and everything we got that we would have paid. Now, if we would have went the traditional insurance route, it would have cost us at least $6,000 because that was our deductible for one person, right? You know what I mean? And that whole episode would have probably been more like $8,000 or $10,000, but we would have been responsible for that first $6,000 of that money. So with going that cash pay route, you can save a ton of money.
So do you not have health insurance?
I do. Yeah.
You do. Okay. But in this case, you just went the cash pay route.
Absolutely. And
knowing
I
that it
do
was gonna
that
be way
all the
less.
time. And not only that, I maximize my HSA. Everyone out there should get, you should demand that your employer, because one of the things you said was, and the reason why we have to kind of have, get away from insurance companies, the problem is that it's tied to people's employment. So I agree with you. I think that is I think we would be great if we could do that. But the problem is that we've got this tied to the employment. That's kind of a hard, it's a hard thing to navigate that. But anyway, if you can demand that your employer offer you a plan with an HSA, then your goal should be to take your pre-tax dollars, maximize that HSA as much as you can. Because when this accident does happen, you've got $6,000 sitting there that you don't have to think about. Right, you can just automatically go ahead and pay that bill, and it's done. Mm-hmm. And so, maximizing your HSA is and that money doesn't go away; it continues to grow. You can keep it, right? I mean, it's just a great way to save money for healthcare expenditures because they are going to come, right? And you need to be ready for it. But yeah, that's some of the decisions that we kind of work with our clients on.
Yeah. There's 4 million people in America right now that would change their job or do something different if it wasn't that health insurance was keeping them tied in. So it is it absolutely is tying people to their jobs. There's no question about that.
Yeah. Another thing that I believe is absolutely orchestrated.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Keep people in indentured roles.